I have an affiliation with the people of the Ashanti, but that is a story for another day. Growing up, there were two soups that we did that I noticed were unique to the people of the Ashanti. I don't know for the other Kan tribes, but it was the Wrewre Nkwan and Nkwan. I've shared the recipe of Nkwan on this channel before, where I used assalted fish. Okay, it's basically some big beans. It's a type of beans. They are big and they use that specifically for soup. In today's recipe, I'll be sharing with you wr3wr3 Nkwan. I first go ahead and sort out my melon seeds. You saw all that I took out. Those were ones that were not too good and you don't want them in your soup. I'll go ahead and measure 2 cups of this, and then I'll be roasting this under medium heat. Roast this until it begins to change color. The smell of this is also going to change, and you are likely to hear this pop sounds every now and then. As soon as you hear them, it's an indication that it is ready. Make sure you do not burn them. Once you burn them, it's likely to make your soup bitter. So as soon as they are done, you want to take it off from whatever you are frying it or roasting them in, because it will continue roasting and it may just burn, and we don't want that. Now when you are doing this, just take your time as well, as some of the sand is attached to the melon seed. So when you are roasting them, the sand and everything and is likely to come off in the process of the roasting. Now spread this and allow it to cool completely. While that is cooking, I'll be grinding some ginger, scotch bonnet pepper, and garlic. I'll add some salt just to make grinding it very easy. Go ahead to blend this if you want. In my previous video, I shared a recipe where I smoked some turkey and some fish, specifically panla, and I'll be using it for this recipe. So I just went ahead and washed my turkey nicely because I smoked it outside, exposed to dust and ash and all of that. So I just washed this a bit, and then I'm going in with some chopped onions and salt. Now the ginger, garlic, pepper that I blended, I added that, rinsed my earthenware pot and added that to as well. This is my homemade mixed spices. They are local spices recipes on the channel, together with some seasoning cube. I'll add that to it and set it aside. At this point, our melon seeds, they've cooled down nicely and I'm blending it. I like to blend it with a dry blender first, okay, just to ensure that I get the most of it and I get it blended nicely. So once I'm done blending it the first time, I'll just empty it into the bigger one. Traditionally, what I remember was we used to pound this, okay. Now you can see I'm sorting this thing out because, as I mentioned, some of the dust attach themselves to the melon seeds. So in the process, they are coming off. So you want to select it so that you don't have all of this entering into your soup. I'll show you an alternative method, okay, in another video, another separate wr3wr3 Nkwan with a different protein of sorting out your melon seeds. Now I'll go ahead and add in some scotch bonnet pepper, some onions, and some ginger. This adds like flavor to your soup. And if you make wr3wr3 Nkwan, if you know this and you don't do this, add this to your process. I promise you're going to love it. Okay, so I blended it with just a little water, all in an attempt to blend it smooth. If you add a lot of water, it may not blend nicely. Now I have these tomatoes, they were going bad, they were soft. I'm like, you know what, let me just add that to it and blend. There's no waste here at all. So I added that. That was the reason why I added that tomatoes to it, and I've blended. So as you can see, because I blended with a little water, it was able to blend relatively smoothly. So I'm now adding some more water, okay, so that it can be very light for me to sieve it. It is very important that you sieve your wr3wr3 Nkwan. No matter how powerful your blender is, you have to sieve this, because the melons are just like what we use for agushie. They have that, they are hard cover around them, but they are so tiny that you may not be able to sort them out like how we do our agushie. So the only method you have is to pound them. Traditionally, pound them in the mortar and pestle that you use to pound your palm nuts, or now we blend them because we have blender. Okay, so you sieve this nicely, and then it all depends on you. you want to get the most out of this, blend it multiple times. I'm even thinking about it, like my time when we were going, we had access to blender, but I don't know why we're still pounding it at home. Anyway, so as you can see, I'll just go ahead and blend this multiple times until I get the most out of this. If I do introduce myself, my name is Sianoki. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to have you here. For this particular soup, I have taken my time and I'm going to leave the exact measures, okay? Just in case you want to try it, and I think you should definitely give it a try. It is close. In fact, we'll get back to it. So once I'm done, see, the first time when I was sieving it, I was pressing the stuff, okay? So this time I'm just sieving it without pressing anything at all, just to make sure that it's nice and smooth. So I give it a second sieve. Once that is done, I'm going to empty this and put it back into my saucepan. That is because I am going to heat this up. And when you are pouring it, check, okay? Sometimes you have sand, in the bottom of this, but because of the process I went through, getting rid of the stones and everything, it came out nice and clean. Now I'll go ahead. I just put my meat on fire. I'm stirring it nicely, and to that I'll add some onions, some carrots, and tomatoes. I'll cover it. The steam is going to cook the veggies for me. Okay, so at this point, I just wanted to give my meat a bit of a stir, and yeah, I noticed that the tomatoes were already cooked, and tomatoes, they can just be soft and then get mashed up in the soup. I don't want that to happen. I want to blend it, so I took all the tomatoes out, and then I'm able to stir it nicely. Now this is the fish that I smoked, the panla. When you are smoking the fish, you are unable to take this stuff out because it can mess up the smoking process. So before cooking, I'll go ahead, take out all those stuff in there, okay, before I add it. So I added that to the meat. Now this is boiling nicely. I'm giving it a stir. I think at this point it is done. It is the temperature of this and the meat that is steaming, it's about the same. As you can see, they are both boiling. You can see the water in the boiling. Okay, so this is a good time to add. Now the reason why I'm boiling on the side before adding it is that if I don't boil it, the temperatures will be different. The one that is steaming, the fish and then the turkey will be boiling, and this may be room temperature or cold, and what's going to happen is it's going to form small pieces, like very tiny pieces of lambs, like when you scramble eggs and you put it into stew. That is how it's going to look. It may still taste good and nice, but it may not be as pleasing to the eye, or how traditionally it's supposed to be. I mean, to the Ashantis, it may be a failed recipe. So that is the reason why we do that. So if your meat was the same temperature as the wrewre when you blended it, you can add it directly. So let's say you probably steamed your meat in the morning and you didn't use it, or it's not warm, and you do your wrewre, you can add it directly. I hope you get the theory around it. Now I just went ahead and blended the ingredients: carrots, tomatoes, onions. The reason why I add carrots to my stuff is I love it, okay? Aside that, I feel that I've noticed that anytime I blend carrots with my tomatoes, it just blends smooth, that I don't have to sieve it. So I love the texture I get. That is how come I love carrots. I love adding it to my stuff, but it is an optional ingredient, okay? So that is it. You just let this boil down, and as you can see, like having this froth forming on all the side, it had cooled down completely. It has cooked. It had boiled down nicely. So this is nice and done. Like, it's so simple to put together, and this is delicious. This is close, like it's close to peanut butter soup or granite soup. That sometimes you may not be able to tell the difference unless you are told, if you prepare it like very well. This is good. This is nice. This is an occasional soup for the people of the Ashantis, usually made with chicken, but you can do it with any other protein like just like what I've just done. Please give this a try, and I hope this video was helpful. Please try this and tag me when you share it, when you try it, when you love it. Okay, thank you.